What's up, everybody? Welcome to Mystics MMOs. I'm your host, Mystic Raven. Alright, so it's been a couple days since I've done a video. It's DC. There's not really too much to cover. You know, I mean, do the events, do the raids, repeat, rinse and repeat. That's pretty much about it. But I love it because oh, nice. I knew it. Knew that was going to happen. But anyways, I don't like being on my heroes. I definitely love the community. There have been some... Oh, I accidentally hit that. That's fine. I wanted to switch that eventually anyways. Anyways, fucking car. What the fuck? That was fucked up. I'm like, what the hell? But, what? I'm lagging really bad. You know what? I don't care. I swear I could hear the Anyways, I'm just kidding. It's been interesting because I love the community because, some people are making the changes, right? And I literally had told one person, I'm like, how long did it take you guys to figure out the math behind the game? 15 years? You guys been stacking, didn't even know you weren't getting percentages anymore. And you're like, we're getting base value. Yeah, I guess. I guess. And it was like, and that's why I've always laughed. And like I said, it doesn't change it. I'm lagging so bad. I don't know what's going on. But it's you can't change certain things, right? That's what I'm trying to say. I'll tell people. Like, somebody is like, well, when you're up against real DPS, I'm like, what do you mean if I'm up against real DPS? I thought everybody's DPS, And just because you're in a guild doesn't mean you're superior. I mean, you guys still have to pay attention to the math. It doesn't change math. It fucking doesn't. It does not change math whatsoever. Come on. You can't change math. And that's my point. It's like, I just, if you want to listen to dumb shit, okay, so be it. But doesn't mean I'm going to listen to you. And nobody defends it now. Nobody defends it. Nobody even wants to mention that they were art swappers. I'll go on somebody's shit, take a look at their shit, and know they were an art swapper. Now you don't even hear them justify it anymore. Because they can't. Because they fucking can't. They did it for years. For fucking years. When I came in and out, and I was still running runs and beating these people who were doing dumb shit, I was like, what the fuck are you guys doing? And they're like, we're swapping. And I'm like, you guys are dumbasses, man. You guys are dipshits. Why are you causing more problems for yourself? It doesn't make any fucking sense. It doesn't make any sense. Sure, it'll finish it off. But yeah. The thing about it is, everything, like I used to tell people in ESO, it's all viable, right? everything. You can pretty much complete any element of the game with any power set in the game. I'm actually looking forward to seeing what they do with the hard light, because hard light is already competitive. I'm not like the best hard light player, but I do okay. I do enough to keep up there. Um, Sometimes I pull top spot. If but I'm not really pressed about it if I don't either. So I feel like DPS is too competitive for all the wrong reasons, because they don't play real MMOs. Like, this is still an MMO, don't get me wrong, but and I'm not saying it isn't, but it's nowhere near the difficulty that some MMOs can be. And the question I have is, do you really want it to be? There are challenges in this game, and that's why the feats exist, right? Plain and simple. But at the same time, um, it's not like it takes your life to play it, because there are MMOs out there that do that. There are MMOs out there that are going to take your life. It's just going to suck the life out of you, and because it becomes almost like a job, right? It really does. And I keep asking people, like, why do you care? Like, why? You're so, like, I don't care to be the best, but I still know the math, and there's the difference. It's like, if you stack, like, if I see you stacked in SP, I laugh at you, because you don't know about the diminishing marginal returns. You don't know where you're getting your max percentage increase and where you're just getting stat points. You know? So I don't respect you. If you say something's meta and you don't know about indifferent values, I don't respect you. If you don't know how procs work and how they scale, I can't respect you. It's just that simple. Um, and the game's been out 15 years. It's been out for 15 years. This game has been out for such a long time, and people, the community, played stupid. So to this day, if I hear anybody say meta, I clown on them, because these are the same dudes who clown on everybody else. Oh, your DPS sucks. Well, actually, dude, you kind of suck. But, whatever. Until you come across a player like me, then I'm going to put you to work. And here's the thing, like I told one person, skill doesn't replace, right? Skill can't replace, you're not going to replace skill with math. Just popping these out. That was a pretty damn good DPS run, man. Look at these guys. They were on it. And I still pulled number one. Oopsie. I was just fucking off, too. I'm like, okay, sure, we'll have some fun. Sure. Oops. Whoopsie. My bad. My bad. Sometimes I'll do like 70 or 90, and I'll be like, God, God, man, you got what is going on with your loadout, your build? What is going on? The closer it is at margin, the more everybody's dealing a fair amount of equal distribution in their DPS. Zazo was like, "Oh my god, they're nerfing Constantine. Constantine is getting nerfed, and I'm so mad because I bought this product." And la la, it's like, dude, it's in the terms and conditions that every thing is subject to change. That means your allies are subject to change. Your artifacts are subject to change. The game's combat system is subject to change. It is. It just is. You agree to those terms and conditions when you know, update. So you don't own the game. You own the what your what's in your account, but you don't own the code. You don't own the exclusive rights. You don't own nothing except your little character, a little portion of what's in the game, what you create and what you've accomplished. That's it. That's all you own. You don't own shit as far as the creative decisions that go on in the game. Now I think the devs have improved a lot of things in the game. I don't like the FOMO stuff. But at the same time, I feel like it's like a damned if you do and a damned if you don't situation. It gets people to play, and that's one of the perks about it. More people are interacting within the time frame in order to get to acquire said, you know, limited thing. The buyout option, I don't do buyout options, but content creators who want to, be on it, and I'm first. I'd be first in line and whatever. Hey, if you want to throw your money, that's on you, man. That's on you. I ain't hating. Hey, if you want to do that, that's on you, dude. Whatever. I try to be frugal. I'm not saying I don't spend money in this game. Obviously, do I have Wolfpack, and I've done the ally thing on at least a little bit. But I'm not even competitive enough to even max out my allies, and I do okay. So, and in the beginning, before elite content, I was an end game player a long time ago in this game when it was difficult, and a good run would take you about 30 minutes if you got a shit group. Sometimes you'd walk in. I remember when you would queue or even go into a pre-made and you were having problems. That's why the LFG was there. And yeah, I still remember some raids being a pain in the ass because of the group configuration. Hell, there was times when I was trolling, I was a feeder, and I bet you a lot of these newer players don't even know what a feeder is. And that's how you can really tell if they're OG. Be like, well, do you remember the time when we had to use feeders? And they're like, what? I'm like, never mind, you ain't OG. You ain't OG. You can't. You ain't OG. You don't remember what a feeder was. You're not OG, and you were definitely not a top end raider if you didn't use feeders, because that's what you did. And yeah, I still remember all that. And some dude's like, "You're not an OG." I'm like, "Dude, I posted my fucking feet from 2012. Like, are you serious? Like, what are you talking about? You can't make up the stamp dates." And I'm like, "But I have nothing to prove. It's my fun game. This has always been my fun game." But yeah, I feel like the community is very toxic and ignorant, to say the least. Um, you know, and then, like I said, when it come down to as far as the layout, I already put out my layout, what I'm running for arts. I'm going to be using um, Eye of Gemini, Pages of the Black, Candle of Neuron, Scrap of the Soul Cloak, and Heart of Isis on my DPS loadouts moving forward. Um, Once I, pack the Heart of Isis, the biggest thing about it is clipping, putting up your clips. And with Heart of Isis, you can do that. But the most important thing is the Shazam final one gives the buff across the board. and that stacks. And when you have more than one player utilizing it, your critical values go up tremendously. And not on then on top of it, once you get it to 200, you're getting a 20% increase to your might plus what 15 per person who uses that critical. So it's very much well worth it. I do have transformation card, but I'm sacrificing the transformation card for the effect of Heart of Isis and Candle of Neuron. So I'll get more bang for my buck without having to sacrifice base damage, because base damage affects critical, right? And I'll show you this. Like the best way to ever test anything, and I really think players have such a problem with understanding I don't think a lot of these players know how to test. I honestly don't think they understand how the numbers work in tangent, how they work. So it's like, you guys realize that these are all relative, right? Ooh. And I went over this with ESO players, like how base damage affects critical output. So, okay. I believe I have both on this one. Yeah. So the funny thing is, I'm actually going to remove all of my artifacts. That's what I want to do. I don't want anything skewing anything. I don't see, this is how I test. If anything, that's how I am initially going to test effects, and I'm not even going to pop my ally. Okay, so we're even going to take off any other effects at the moment and start with a base, just a base plate of just my gear and my initial stats. So you'll see right here, prior to anything, my critical ability chance is 26, and my attack damage, my critical, that's weapon. Oh yeah, no, attack damage is 106, and my ability attack is 20. So it's 106 for, that's weapon. 106, 26. 106, 26 right here for your attacks. Not including your weapon, they're the same stats. But when I come up to might, there's my might, just based on gear. Alright. So we want to do critical. Let me put up the combat log. Alright. And I usually just do a spam to see where my... So there's the crit damage, 9.5. 4.2. And you'll see kind of a consistency in the combat log, right? Kind of where our numbers are. Alright. Alright. So now, since we've just established that, now we're going to add our might increase. Right? Alright. Now we're going to do the buffs. And you'll see our criticals are doing a lot more damage. Simple. I haven't increased my critical chance. I've just increased the base in which we've... See, because those values haven't gone up at all. The might's increased. So when might increases, so does our critical output. Okay? Very simple. Very simple. So that's why we're not using a transmutation card. Because when we take a look at the transmutation card, it's going to increase our critical output and our critical chance, but decrease with my loadout. I use it on this build. I have a build that just runs critical. And so I do use it for this loadout when I'm not using Pages of the Black. But because we're going to lose a 15% to gain 20 in critical chance and 30 in critical magnitude. Critical magnitude and your base value of might is a contributing factor to your critical damage output. Okay, so it's not just your critical magnitude, it's also in conjunction with the might stat. Okay, pretty simple. So now, like, if I use Candle of Neron and I slot that and we come down, we notice that it hasn't changed. My values have it. It's not until I use Candle that my values change. Okay? And then I'll... Soul Signature, 15% critical ability attack damage for 12 seconds. Okay? And that's reflective also once we come in. See? So that increases our ability by 41. Now we went from 26 to 41. Now we're hitting much harder with just 2. Alright. So now it goes back down. And that's why you have it. Okay, hold on. We'll get a couple stacks here. Alright. No, 15%. There we go. So we get that boost. You can see the difference between 106 and 121. Now, so now here's the deal. You can run a double crit set, but at the expenditure of your base damage. So, for example, I could use the transformation card, right? And this is going to significantly give me increased values when applied. So I get a huge buff right there. And so when I come down here now, but my base damage suffers. So it's almost like subtracting from your might. So that's what that's doing. You realize that, right? So I don't think a lot of people realize that initially. Say 151. Now we have, you know, our increased damage. So everybody be like, well, you're getting 5% more. Of course you are. Yes, you're getting 5% more on critical damage output, but your base values lose 15%. Well, technically you're getting 15%, but minus 20 in your, no, let me see. Reduce total damage and healing by 15%. So 15% of your base is down. You're getting 5% difference. So subtract 15 from 20. So you're increased by 5% on critical. No, 30. So 30%. So 15. You're getting. Sorry, I saw the first 20. You're getting 30% critical magnitude minus 15% to your base value. So that's only a 15% increase because you're deducting 15% from might. So it's not yes, you're getting 30% towards your critical attacks. That's true. But your base suffers, thus your output is diminished by how much? Half. So, yeah. So I feel like a lot of players didn't just realize, just like, oh, hi, I'm the meta. It's like, can you count? Do you understand how these numbers work? Oh yeah, you know, because I'm the meta. Now let's say I use Pages of the Black, right? That will help offset some of the loss here, for sure, for sure, for sure. Let me throw on a shield here. I don't have a shield on this loadout, so we'll take care of that really quick. That's my generator right there, Flux. We're just going to put this on just to kind of show where our critical values are now and our base. Now look at the damage. We were up to 100. See what I'm saying? But now we're at 60%. So I feel like that's kind of relevant when you're taking a look at the values, how you're trying to understand where the numbers are deriving from. And when you can do that, you can adjust accordingly. So, yeah. And then, so we've just realized, okay, we're losing 15%, you know, basically on our base values that is affecting our critical output, because your might is a contributing factor to that. When it's like using venom, right? When you use venom, I don't even know if I have this on here or unlocked. I do. So neon venom, right, increases your base damage, which is, it's like your core strength on your chest piece. It doesn't directly, you know, affect your might, but it does increase your not directly, but indirectly it does, you know, contribute to your base damage. Okay, and then we have Word of Power, which increases your critical damage and your critical chance. So if we're having enough base damage, right, we need to increase critical value. But remember, there's diminishing marginal return. So if you stack up too high, blah, 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 blah. So, but in this game, it's very hard because you don't have a critical stat tree per se. So I'm just going to kind of show you where I'm at here on this. So then when we come down here, we get a huge buff. We're almost at 70% critical chance now. So now we're almost at 70% critical chance. 69. I know, laugh it up. Our critical magnitude is scaled up so high, right? And that's why the Heart of Isis is even so much better, because Word of Power gets magnified, and then if you have more than one player who procs it, the power of Shazam gets stacked. So if I'm stacking that much, I don't want all that critical. I don't want both of these, because then I'm losing base damage. So the transmutation card by the numbers doesn't make sense, because I'm going to put, Heart of Isis right here, right? So it leaves me 2 slots, because the cooldown, right? So when we take a look at it, we have a 12-second cooldown. Heart of Isis is just through the cycle. So long as you can keep feeding yourself, you can keep utilizing the Heart of Isis. There's no immediate cooldown associated in any other way, because Neon Venom is what, 45 seconds. Now even if I put Scrap, that'll bring it down to 30, right? So even if I put Scrap with the Soul Cloak, and we come back in to our loadout, and we take a look at the Venom, it's 45 seconds. I could have swore it had a reduction. Oh, nope. I guess not. But for some reason, I don't know. But anyways, let's just throw all this back on real quick. 1 second. Alrighty. Just seeing something. So it's a 45 seconds, supposedly. Oh, I know. I messed up. It's one of the other ones on another character I'm thinking of. Duh. But anyways, Word of Power, if I have enough into my damage output, I don't need all those criticals, right? Because I'm getting critical value with Word of Power. So basically it's just, or like, for example, if I could sustain it, I wouldn't even want, for example, the Leonard's amulet increases. I don't know if I can do this. I honestly don't know if I can pull this off. We'll see if I can throw it up. I'll probably die here, because that's just too much damage too quick. But yeah, your might will fucking stack up real quick with Leonard's and Pages of the Black. You can negate Pages of the Black's effect. Leonard's, you're still going to take damage. You're going to be really dependent on your healer. So if you wanted to stack it a ton, I mean a shitload of might, you could literally do that, right? Like, even if you wanted to, let's say, wanted to push out a lot of additional stats, you could run a setup without Eye of Gemini and go with the transformation card. You could do that. You could totally do that. You could literally say, okay, I'm going to run a critical might stack, because now we're not dependent on any proc. It's all all stat based, right? So you could do that. Problem of it is the damage implications between these two artifacts, Candle, and if depending on how low you get, like, you could run a Berserk build if your league has Berserk. That would be really hard. But I mean, I'm saying it's you could, by math, but it looks good on paper. Implication would be pretty rough, but the damage implication would be huge. Um, but yeah, so like you could stack might. I mean, well, just if you want to take, like, say you replace this with Ebon, because prior to Pages of Black, I used Leonard's. Um, but you could put Ebon or whatever. But I'm saying that's what most people do. They stack might, but stacking might, without critical application is a problem because it's only base, and you need to increase your critical values. So, and remember that all your procs can, like, your subjugator and stuff can also, it scales might and can crit. So your values affect your, things like your subjugator and things like that, and also your procs. Any artifact procs will scale from your stats, with a few exceptions, like pet trinkets. Those scale off of CR. But yeah, so I don't feel a lot of players really understand like what they're looking for or what they're looking at, how to break it down when they're putting things together, and that's why we have players who were swapping artifacts who didn't understand they were dropping stats. They weren't dropping them. They were dropping stats. They were dropping stats, slotting in and out artifacts, not aware that it was affecting their procs. And then on top of it, you had I know, I must have a really cool look or something. Then you also have players not realizing that there were diminishing marginal returns in their SP system, and that 10% was ever you're going to get from any direct pull, and everything other than that was just base values, and that has a diminishing return. So I do know I can't respect players. I'm just here to kind of help people. And people are like I said, crying about Constantine. Oh, Constantine. Oh, and it's like, no, it's actually a good thing because Constantine's effect, um, and it's kind of sad because, um, one second, I use him for my heal build on here. I haven't leveled this one at all yet. Like right here, this should actually be giving more. It's the same effect as the ward. The blessing is the same effect as should give more for the radius, but unfortunately it doesn't. But it procs more frequently. Problem of it is the radius is smaller. It's still a buff zone, but with a smaller radius, and unfortunately, it wasn't not giving out as much as the ward. I feel like that should have been the opposite, but since it was procking more frequently, you were getting more out of it. In hindsight, but most people weren't running it because they were still hooked on the meta and jumping into the stacking or trying to return their supercharge for to proc I. And but then when you take a look at the players who were doing that, they were sitting on cooldown a lot of times. So I just didn't understand that one either. But anyways, yeah, I'm just going over it because that's why I don't use scrap with the soul cloak, because it's just too much. So yeah, see, I made a mistake. I honestly thought Neon Venom was like 30 seconds. I probably haven't used it in a while. I still have it unlocked, but yeah, because I've been going with Word of Power because of my build configurations. So yep, and say what you want. It's it is what it is. Numbers, people lie, numbers don't. And the meta can sit there and throw darts as much as they want, but until they actually pay attention to the math. And in 15 years, there was only one player, and as much as Just Mel wants to say he's the math person, he isn't. Because when I take a look at some of the things that he did, it was like, dude, you are contributing problem to the community because you aren't diligent enough to question even your own findings. You just stick something in there. Oh, this is what I got. You do what everybody else does. You do not go into it and literally ask yourself, is there a scenario in which this trumps this? The answer is always going to be yes. The question about it is when. And there's why I don't respect that dude either. He tried to expose me and he couldn't. He couldn't. Because it was like, had you just said that after 100, these are base values, and it's only a percentage, it's not even a percent increased to your DPS in comparison to max allies and gear, doesn't even equal a full percent output, then that could have been, a reasonable, conclusion, but he didn't. And it was like, you suck, dude. You suck. You suck. So, no, I'm not taking you guys serious. Never. It is what it is. Have a fun one, Meta. Peace.